What if Earth's population reaches 100 billion? Day after day, apocalyptic pictures of our Earth's future are revealed to us on our TV and computer screens, leaving negative emotions, anxiety, and fear in people's minds. TV series like Life Without People tell us what will happen to our dear planet if all of humanity suddenly disappeared. I'm going to tell you about some hypotheses regarding the future of our planet, about how things will be on the Earth if the population reaches tens or even hundreds of billions. Today, everyone sees how many problems are caused by dramatic climate change on our planet. It is, therefore, very difficult to imagine a population on our Earth that is 10 times or more larger than today. Nonetheless, I am going to try to do this with you. So, the Earth's population will grow to 10 billion people. This awaits us in the very near future, and the composition of this population will also change dramatically. In general, Africans, Asians, and people of the Caucasus will predominate. This is in part due to the lower birth rates in Europe, Australia, and North America. At the same time, African populations will continue to grow, or remain at the same high level, with most women averaging between 4 to 10 children. And despite the fight against high birth rates in China, the population of that country continues to grow, with the additional effect of a gender disbalance resulting from their one-child policy and a preference for boys. This has led to an increase in the number of single men. There will soon be almost 100 million of them. According to certain sources, from the 8th to the 11th century, during the Viking era, there were from 200 to 400 million people on the planet. Who would have thought that after a little more than 1,000 years, the population would reach the current 7.5 billion people? We can only begin to imagine how quickly we might multiply in the future, and what the consequences may be. By the way, I probably haven't told you that I'm a big fan of that mysterious era, and am absolutely crazy about Vikings. So, recently I discovered a really cool game on this topic. It sucked me in like a black hole. Viking War of Clans, and it has cool modern graphics, and most importantly, I have it on my smartphone screen. This allows me to level up my brave Vikings and smash the enemy coalitions, even during 5-minute breaks at work. If you try this game even for just a few seconds, I guarantee you're gonna feel the buzz and experience this incredible atmosphere. You're not gonna be able to put it down. And if you download it from the link in the description, you'll get my special bonus in the form of 200 gold coins, which will give you a nice, successful start. So, let's go kick the shit out of our enemies together. My nickname is, of course, Riddle. In recent years, millions of legal and illegal immigrants, running from war, famine, unemployment, and other such unpleasantries, have migrated to the more developed countries in Europe and North America. However, occasionally, and unfortunately, some of these refugees have turned out to be hardened criminals or even militants. For some of these militants migrating to Europe, their aim is to weaken the states there with the hope of someday creating a new caliphate with Sharia law in its place. With the help of all these migrants, together with the migrants' high birth rates compared to the natives, Europe, in the near future, may become a more Arab, Turkic-speaking place, lacking the former economic and socio-cultural European realities. One expert on the Middle East now calls France an Arab country, even going so far as to state that, before long, this country may even have a new name on our maps and in our geography textbooks. The populations of both North and South America will also grow due to immigration from more disadvantaged countries and to the high birth rates of those immigrants. Along those lines, the USA will become much more diverse due to both immigration from Central and South America and the high birth rates of Hispanics and other immigrants who settle there. We can, quite rightly, assume that the planet can feed a population of 10 billion. But the next great migration of peoples has already begun, and our children will see an absolutely different world of communities on our planet than exists today, with new borders and new realities, and the consequent benefits and turmoil that may bring. But it is my opinion that if the population of the Earth reaches 20 billion people, the problems of famine, malnutrition, and starvation will arise practically everywhere. It's nearly impossible to feed that many people at our present level of agricultural development, despite how advanced it is. According to the most optimistic forecasts of futurists, the Earth can support no more than 15 billion people. That is, providing there are no wars and no drastic climate change. And even this would only be possible with intensive farming of all fertile and even non-fertile areas of the planet's surface, the latter of which would need to be adapted in some way. Many science fiction writers have also written about an outsized human population, one that is forced to move into the cosmos, colonizing cosmic objects such as asteroids, planets, moons, and someday, perhaps, even other solar systems. Geologist and science fiction writer Vladimir Obruchev wrote about a future Earth with continuous belts of cities in the northern and southern tropics, with the rest of the territory turned over to agriculture and forests. With a population of 20 billion people, such a resettlement of the people of the Earth is unlikely, as this would most likely lead to an ecological disaster in the inhabited areas, not to mention the difficulties involved in the forced migration of billions to the fields, forests, deserts, and mountains, where they would, in all likelihood, have to live a newly primitive life, with all that entails. If the population doubles from there to 40 or 50 billion people, it will become unbearable for the planet due to a severe lack of food and living space. With such a population density, forests, clean rivers, and even the seas are unlikely to survive. One could hope, of course, that humans will become more sensible and moral, pure of body and soul, and somehow moderate their aggressive nature. We can hope that they'll stop maiming the planet with endless mineral and resource extraction, one result of which is the release of harmful elements into the atmosphere. But I am somehow sure that thinking that everyone will suddenly switch to using electric cars and electric planes and will eat only vegetarian food is a pipe dream and unlikely to be seen in our lifetimes. With today's high fertility rates in many countries and just general population growth in the rest of the world, reaching a level of 50 billion people could be a matter of just several dozens of years. Somehow, we are going to need to find a way to help underdeveloped countries achieve Western-level salaries and world-class healthcare. At the same time, Westerners must be encouraged to have more children. In the Middle Ages, even queens gave birth to 10 or 15 babies during a lifetime, although half of the children didn't even live to see a month. Of course, all of this is well-nigh impossible, but we are trying to look at all of the different options for dealing with these historic developments. Let's suppose the population of 50 billion is evenly distributed across the planet. The total land area of the planet is 510,072,000 square kilometers, but a significant part of this is taken up by deserts, mountain landscapes, northern tundra, and let's not forget Antarctica. People are going to have to bunch up in the more favorable places. So, to find the livable space available, we can roughly estimate and divide the total land area in two, and if we do that, we get about 255 million square kilometers. If we divide 50 billion people by 255 million square kilometers, we get 196 people per square kilometer. This might seem okay at first, but that's only if you're thinking of all that space as urban environment. You're also going to need some space to produce food. A lot of space. Will there be enough land for agricultural production? Perhaps by then, agricultural technologies will be so advanced that food production won't be a problem. Or maybe people will learn how to live on air and sun energy like some yogis do. But seriously, while we still don't know exactly how it will all unfold, we must seriously consider such a proposition as possible and real. And what are all these people going to do? Just sit all day in their multi-story apartment blocks with vegetable gardens on their roofs? Or will they master outer space for work, fun, and travel? And really, why not? I'd like to dwell for a moment on this beautiful vision for our future. Mankind has come to its senses and grown wiser, kinder, and more understanding. Humanity on Earth has learned to use only renewable resources, and the solar system provides the rest. Humans receive healthy and pure synthetic foods from artificial ingredients, similar to our food today, and clothes are worn only for convenience, warmth, and aesthetics, again and in general as we do today. People work in space, on other planets, and even in other solar systems, and also control all the infrastructure on Earth, doing their best not to plague the planet with their presence. The Moon, Mars, and other planetary bodies in the solar system have been fully colonized, but people haven't entirely left Mother Earth and visit and live here from time to time. Humanity has restored the forests of the Amazon, Central Africa, and Siberia, and the composition of the atmosphere has returned to normal. The use of petroleum products for energy generation is banned, except for closed-cycle engines. Mankind has learned how to regulate climate processes. Humans have acquired the knowledge of how to capture asteroids and extract minerals and metals from them. There are underwater cities where a great number of people live, and these cities have closed biocycles that do not pollute the ocean. And people have finally learned how to use ordinary water, which is, remember, made up of hydrogen and oxygen, as an energy carrier, much like gasoline is used today. This humanity, in harmony with the environment, could live happily far into the future. But, alas and unfortunately, from what I see today, there is little hope for such a fabulous future. But one can dream. Another dreamlike alternative of human development sees us growing to 100 billion individuals. Considering the previous utopian possibility for 50 billion people, 100 billion seems reasonably within the reach of possibility. It will be necessary to learn how to settle and develop low-grade land, as well as the sea and ocean floors, where huge cities under domes or in the form of separate buildings with autonomous communications may appear. They'll be connected to each other by passages and tunnels under the ocean floor. Additionally, the development of advanced astronautics and related resource extraction on other planets, and even, eventually, in other star systems, is a must. Such a huge population will be able to live on our planet only if we treat it with care. Otherwise, the Earth will show us its darker side and simply annihilate everyone, as it once did the dinosaurs. When there are 200 people on every square kilometer of land, will they all be able to get along and share all the necessities of life? There will only be two ways to escape, either into space or underwater. There are more questions than answers on this subject, but we can still make some suggestions. We can realize this dream only when we see humans achieve a higher state of being, becoming highly educated and highly ethical creatures, respectful of all of their fellow inhabitants of our dear planet, which they will revere as their Mother Earth. One thing is clear. Humankind will not be able to survive in such numbers if we carry on as we are now. People must change. But how can these changes occur in a world where people worship money instead of God, and where morality and spirituality have become passé? We can't expect anything good to happen without first changing ourselves. The Golden Billion are trying their best to protect themselves from the migrants from the poorest countries, which in many ways are poor due to the machinations of the Western ruling elite. The Golden Billion do not sit in government offices, but are in the shadows, pulling the strings of weak-willed politicians. They are the power behind the throne, those who kindle wars and inter-ethnic hostility, and receive fantastic profits through the grief and sorrow of others. Moreover, this part of humanity seeks supremacy on our planet, exploiting others as service personnel and low-cost labor, subordinating them with high technology and gadgets. It's my opinion that such a civilization will reach an impasse and destroy itself. So, there really is very little chance of us reaching 100 billion people. I, for one, will be very happy if humanity chooses a different path.